So, a very warm welcome to our discussion panel, Europe, a Promised Land. There's a question mark behind the Promised Land. And what will happen in the next 2 hours? I give you a little short agenda. First, we will have some introductory statements by our panelists. To my left, Monika Steinhauser from the Münchner Flüchtlingsrat, or Council for Refugees in Munich. To my right, Larry Macaulay. He is the founder and the editor-in-chief of the Refugee Radio Network. And on the left, Benjamin Seeb of the Project for Democratic Union, which organized this evening and is the host tonight. And we want to thank the PressClub to have us this evening. After these little statements, we will have a discussion here on the panel. And afterwards, we will open up the floor to you, to the audience. And my name is Alexander Wagge. I'm editor of Public Sphere. That's a non-commercial platform for political debates, user-driven in Berlin. And what I want to carry into this debate tonight is a little bit of the public sphere.
Already now, that's not the problem. And even like the city of Munich has a small budget to support refugees that go home, that perhaps they can put up some small business or so. But most refugees can't go home. They have gone through hell, and they have to make something out of this here. And they can't go home if they don't come with a lot of money, because if not, they are regarded as losers. So they will stay here. That's what they have done in the past, and that's what's going to happen now. So we should just take this and for reality, and then help them to get along here. Help them to learn German, because otherwise they won't find better jobs, and train the young ones that are here, send them to school, let them learn some kind of trade, and then accept they are here. Because the rest is dreams. If we think we treat them badly, they go back. We've done that for decades. It didn't work. So just forget about those dreams and settle down to reality. And that's what we are trying to do on a small scale with the volunteers, and also by talking to the politicians and the administration here, to change things slowly, but a bit faster than in the past.
The integration process takes a while. I mean, so a person arrives here, takes a year or two until she or he speaks German, finds a job and so on. So are these programs sort of in place? I mean, sure there are German classes for refugees, but there's also help how they can, make their way around the city, learn how the social system works, the healthcare system works, how they could find a job, maybe even set up their own business, and so on and so forth. I was thinking of projects like these.
Yeah, but there's many volunteers that do just this. And there's,
right, this is always on a volunteer basis.
And there's also, there is, but not enough.
Okay.
There is. So, like we have, the city of Munich puts a lot of money into the refugee system here. They put a lot of money into schools, especially for the young refugees. So they're so keen on learning. So many of them, within 2 years, they come here, they don't speak a word of German, they can't write Latin letters. And within 2 years, they have their Mittelschulabschluss or their Quali, and now they are even sought after by the firms. They're really sought after. They're needed, and that helps both sides. And the volunteer aspect is that we try to accompany them in that process and give support. And just like we have started a project called Language Partners. So refugees that go to German classes, they learn German like we go to the Volkshochschule and learn some foreign language and then don't speak it. So that's give the refugee a chance to speak German and also to learn about the ways we live here, and also of course the German part to get to know other people and other ways of thinking, so to get to know each other. That's one of our projects which works very well. It's a small daily work, but that's the way we change the world.
So there's another comment.
Some very practical questions. Is it one? I mean, there is a certain way of dealing when refugees arrive. Papers they have to fill. Is the question, do you want to go back, or where do you want to go? Is that one of the questions which is sort of part of the procedure? I would like to know. Do you have any idea about, are they being asked when they arrive here if they really wanted to come to Munich or if they wanted to go some other place? Third question is, and I'm a bit sort of, there are two different sort of ways of seeing refugees and the reasons for refugees between you and you. Now, if I think that they have left because there was a dramatic situation, they had to go, then my practical idea would be that once this situation is solved, because leaving and being a refugee doesn't mean just leaving a situation, but you leave your village, your family, your culture, your everything. So basically I would think that they want to go back once the situation is solved. Now if that is the case, then I've always been wondering myself if our German thing about integration, if that is not the wrong way. I mean, it's okay, you know, to learn about where you live, just as if I would go to a different country, I would try to use that time to learn as much about the country or the city, the place where I am. But integration is something different. Isn't it more important then to try to have those people to live together in their, with the same kind of people, so that once they go back, they're not totally out of their culture, not really into this culture, so that sometimes I have the feeling that our forceful approach of, you know, preventing what we call ghettos, making sure that people don't, you know, cluster together, might not be helpful for those people, you know, who want to go back. So you should try to keep the families, the structures as much together as possible. Yeah. I just wonder if that isn't, for those who want to go back.
I just have a very quick comment. We tried this. Helmut Kohl tried this with the Turks. We tried it before with the Italians. So the idea was, you guys come over here, you work, and after that you go back. Because you love your country, right? It's all economic. But as Ms. Steinhauser said, they just don't. You know,
more go back every year than they come from Turkey at the moment.
At the moment,
in the last years,
that is true. But if you look at the macro trend, we will see where this goes. I'm skeptical, to say the least, that Germany is going to be, you know, as Helmut Kohl would have dreamed, Turks free in 30 years. I don't think so. So I think that the reality is, in the end, they do stay, and we have to think about ways how to integrate them.
Well, they are not asked where they want to go to. Just like I told you, they are sent to some place because our quota system says you go there. And that's what has to be changed. For the rest, not to prevent integration and keep them in ghettos, if you want to call it ghettos, would be a very silly idea. What we see, and also with the Turks, who goes back to Turkey? Those that have been successful here, not the ones that stayed in their community, but the ones who integrated and are successful here. And with the refugees, it's the same thing. We saw when after the Taliban had been defeated, and lots of people thought it will be better now in Afghanistan. A number of refugees from Munich went back to Afghanistan, and it was those who were successful here. Even those who have become Germans those who have had their own business built up here, those who have had the experience. I can start from the beginning again. I have done that once. I'll manage it once more. But if you keep them in the ghetto, they don't have that experience, and you have conflicts between. I say the ghetto because you use the word. If you, yeah.
But not as a suggestion, I think.
No. I'm sorry. I meant them to have the chance, if they want to stay together with their own people. I'm afraid that we are, with this spreading and sending them all over the place, that if I would be traumatized, having left such a situation, and then I would come to country, and then I would be separated from people who come from the same places or area where I used to live, it would be even worse to start.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's what I suggested, that we ask the refugees where they want to go to. Of course, it would help integration, because those who are already here help those who come.
Yeah, Larry wants to answer.
Seems there's a disconnect a little bit. This period of sharing them around is just not for a long period, it's not permanent, it's just a temporary. As soon as they get the documents, everybody trickle back to where his community is really centered around, So the ghettos are there already. People cluster together already. It's here. You just need to look. I know, because I'm a foreigner, I'm a refugee. I know where Nigerians are. I know where Syrians are. I know where everybody moves together, because you're more comfortable in that environment. So people will eventually move to where they want to move to. Then on the other hand is of the issue of, yes, those that are successful are the ones that are going back, even with the Africans also. Those that have been successful in setting up businesses here, who have the German citizenship, they can now go back and invest in Africa and other places. So, but the issue also of forcing integration on the migrant itself, it's a 50-50 thing. If you are in Rome, you act like a Roman, so you must learn the language, you must learn the values, and your values are there. You are not erasing your values also, coming from an external source. You manage both of them together. So, and on the issue of going back or living together, if you look at the way colonial Africa was structured, they put everybody together. Both Muslim, Christian, Fulani, Yoruba together in one country. And that's what fuels the conflict, where we don't get along. And if we live in a community divided along ethnic line, along religious lines, and you run away from that society to Europe, and I don't think they will go back to that society where that thing will happen again, because we have seen a reoccurrence of these tragedies happening on and on again. I can talk from experience in Nigeria, where I grew up, in Jos, in central Nigeria, whereby Christian-Muslim conflicts every now and then is there. It can ease up for like 2 years, then something triggers it again, and it happens again. So people who have lived in this chaotic environment for a long time and have been able to escape it, I don't think they want to go back to that environment anymore. So they end up wanting to remain here and getting their lives on here. So those are the two parallels that are there.
Okay, now it's 9 o'clock and we are coming to an end. So I think it's really interesting, because we started with a global perspective, kind of, with foreign policies, and now we are in the integration debate, and then back in Nigeria. So you see in this debate, it's really it goes local, global, and on, like Benjamin said. I just want to give our panel the opportunity to have one sentence, so to have one last take-home message to the audience. If you think what the audience should keep in mind when our debate is over tonight.
I start? All right. So
one sentence.
Yes. It's going to be a long sentence. My brain's ticking. As long as we do not realize that the immigration problem is not only a problem in itself, but also a symptom of a larger structural crisis. We will not be able to solve it.
Thank you. So then Larry?
Well, for me, it's just I would like to borrow from a saying. Don't move in front of me. Don't lead, I will not follow you. Don't move behind me because I will not lead. But let's stay side by side and work with these issues and solve it. Then we will get along. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Well, the refugees are here, and give them a warm welcome.